On that and the old ladies.
Perfect game. Oh, got the headset on good.
I'm turning all the way up so I don't have to listen to you.
I've lost track of how long I've been here, and how many visits I have made overall. Certainly the landmarks are now so familiar to me that I have to remind myself to actually see the forms and shapes in front of me. I could stumble blind across these rocks, the edges of these precipices, without fear of missing my step and plummeting down to sea. Besides, I have always considered that if one is to fall, it is critical to keep one's eyes firmly open.
It's all about exploring. They'll tell you the story while you're there. I want to listen. I haven't played for a while. You'll see the ghost there and when watching it doesn't tell you about them.
Did you know you can use this a lot?
Donnelly reported the legend of the hermit, a holy man who sought solitude in pure form. Allegedly, he rode here from the mainland in a boat without a bottom, so all the creatures of the sea could rise at night to converse with him. How disappointed he must have been with their chatter. Perhaps now, when all that haunts the ocean is the rubbish dumped from the tankers, he'd find more peace. They say he threw his arms wide in a valley on the south side, and the cliff opened up to provide him shelter. They say he died of fever 116 years later.
I'm pretty sure I never learned
that. The shepherds left gifts for him at the mouth of the cave,
but
Donnelly records they never claimed to have seen him. I have visited the cave and I have left my gifts, but like them, I appear to be an unworthy subject of his solitude. There was once talk of a wind farm out here, away from the rage and the intolerance of the masses. The sea, they said, is too rough for the turbines to stand. They clearly never came here to experience the becalming for themselves. Personally, I would have supported it. Turbines would be a fitting contemporary refuge for a hermit. The revolution and the permanence.
Where are my legs at?
I have found the ship's manifest, crumpled and waterlogged under a stash of paint cans. It tells me that along with this present cargo, there was a large quantity of antacid yogurt bound for the European market. It must have washed out to sea. God knows there are no longer gulls or goats here to eat it.
Where do we even go? Huh? Okay then.
Come back.
You know it. That's the one I was talking about. Okay, where do I go? Where do I go? Huh? I checked around there and I've also checked over there. Oh, Firewatch. I'm playing that one soon. Mm-hmm. Oh, to go? No, I didn't. There's nothing over there. Oh, to go? Oh. Oh, boy. Why? So you just jump off of it? Because you said something about someone committing
Reading
suicide.
Donnelly by the weak afternoon sunlight, he landed on the south side of the island, followed the path to the bay and climbed the mount. He did not find the caves, and he did not chart the north side. I think this is why his understanding of the island is flawed, incomplete. He stood on the mount and only wondered
Well, you're
momentarily
wrong
how
in a
to
lot of
descend.
things.
But then, he didn't have my reasons.
Don't you ever call me Dick again either?
You were acting like one.
When someone had died or was dying, or was so ill they gave up what little hope they could sacrifice, they cut parallel lines into the cliff, exposing the white chalk beneath. You could see them from the mainland or the fishing boats, and know to send aid or impose a cordon of protection, and wait a generation until whatever pestilence stalked the cliff paths died along with its hosts. My lines are just for this: to keep any would-be rescuers at bay. The infection is not simply of the flesh. We are not like Lot's wife, you and I. We feel no particular need to turn back. There's nothing to be seen if we did. No tired old man parting the cliffs with his arms. No gifts or Bibles laid out on the sand for the taking. No tides turning or the shrieking gulls overhead. The bones of the hermit are no longer laid out for the taking. I have stolen them away to the guts of this island, where the passages all run to black, and where we can light each other's faces by their strange luminescence.
You've already played it?
A long time ago.
Well,
The ocean. I hope you understand why you got your phone taken away, son. We don't tolerate that kind of talk.
it's true. Oh. This spot right here, I'm pretty sure you're talking about the cave. This thing.
You gotta go through there. Go walk that ship over there.
Dear Esther, I met Paul. I made my own little pilgrimage. My Damascus, a small semi-detached on the outskirts of Wolverhampton. We drank coffee in his kitchen and tried to connect to one another. Although he knew I hadn't come in search of an apology, reason or retribution, he still spiraled in panic, thrown high and lucid by his own dented bonnet. Responsibility had made him old. Like us, he'd already passed beyond any conceivable boundary of life. I would leave you presents outside your retreat in this interim space between cliff and beach. I would leave you loaves and fishes, but the fish stocks have been depleted and I've run out of bread. I would row you back to your homeland in a bottomless boat, but I fear we would both be driven mad by the chatter of the sea creatures.
Enjoy the games. You can't die in this game, by the way, I don't think. It's just an experience.
Oh, I just died.
Did you die already?
Yeah, I drowned myself.
You can't die in this game.
I drowned myself in the water on accident. interesting.
He still maintains he wasn't drunk, but tired. I can't make the judgment or the distinction anymore. I was drunk when I landed here, and tired too. I walked up the cliff path in near darkness and camped in the bay where the trawler lies beached. It was only at dawn that I saw the bothy and decided to make my temporary lodgings there. I was expecting just the aerial and a transmitter stashed in a weatherproof box somewhere on the mount. It had an air of uneasy permanence to it. Like all the other buildings here, erosion seems to have evaded it completely. Dear Esther, I have now driven the stretch of the M5 between Exeter and Bristol over 21 times. But although I have all the reports and all the witnesses, and have cross-referenced them within a millimetre using my Ordnance Survey maps, I simply cannot find the location. You'd think there would be marks to serve as some evidence. It's somewhere between the turn-off for Sanford and the welcome brake services, but although I can always see it in my rear-view mirror, I have as yet been unable to pull ashore.
Whoa. I just... You see him? It's the side of my screen, right there, and then it just disappears. So I'm gonna slightly move towards the entity. Wow, where are you going? Come back. Any more of you? One on one, I want to see that. Yeah, I see it's over there on something. I have spotted one. Wonderful. They're right here. I don't know if you guys seen her. See her? No. Look. That thing just disappears. going down there. Hi. Hi. What are you doing down there? Alright, let's continue our journey. Opposite way much.
All night the boy has kept me lucid. I sat, when I was at the very edge of despair, when I thought I would never unlock the secret of the island, I sat at the edge and I watched the idiot boy blink through the night. He's mute and he is retarded, and he has no thought in his metal head but to blink each wave and each minute aside until the morning comes and renders him blind as well as deaf-mute. In many ways, we have much in common.
Oh, that's not a person. Huh. Very windy. Someone peed.
I had kidney stones and you visited me in the hospital. After the operation, when I was still half submerged in anesthetic, your outline and your speech both blurred. Now my stones have grown into an island and made their escape, and you have been rendered opaque by the car of a drunk. What charnel house lies at the foot of this abyss? How many dead shepherds could fill this hole?
Oh, okay. No drummer? Why? That's surprising. Hmm? Mm-hmm.
Did you?
One. I followed it. That's good. I see that house.
look around in the field and walk very slowly up there. You'll see something that doesn't belong.
I'd begun to climb, away from the sea
It's
and
really weird
towards
when
the
you see one
centre.
because you're like, did I just see
It
that?
is a straight line to the summit, where the evening begins to coil around the aerial and squeeze the signals into early silence. The bothy squats against the mount to avoid the gaze of the aerial.
Look up on the hills.
I too will creep
Oh,
under the
I see
island
it.
like an animal and approach it from the northern shore.
Yep, there it is. Watch it, it's here when you get up there. See the shape of it? See, like, you're sitting there playing, if you didn't know that was going to be there, you'd be like, what the fuck is that person? When you get up there, that will not be there. Where's at the door?
That's not a door.
I knew there was one on this floor, but I thought it was on the hills. Turn around, is it still there?
The bothy was constructed originally in the early 1700s.
Body on it.
By then, shepherding
Yep,
had
that's a person.
formalised into a career. The first habitual shepherd was a man called Jacobson, from a lineage of migratory Scandinavians.
The shape of it? Look,
He was
it's
not
moving.
considered a man of breeding by the mainlanders.
Did you see it move?
He came here every summer whilst building the bothy, hoping eventually that becoming a man of property would secure him a wife and a lineage. Donnelly records that it did not work. He caught some disease from his malcontented goats and died 2 years after completing it. There was no one to carve white lines into the cliff for him either.
Does it explain any of this story to you yet? Find any books? That thing walking right in there too, by the way.
3 cormorants seen at dusk. They did not land. This house built of stone, built by a long-dead shepherd.
Despacito?
Contents: my camp bed, a stove, a table, chairs, my clothes, my books.
Hello?
The caves that score out the belly of this island, leaving it famished. My limbs and belly famished. This skin, these organs, this failing eyesight. When the battery runs out in my torch, I will descend into the caves and follow only the phosphorescence home.
No, it's not. It's watching you. It's on the cliff. Look, is it moving? Look.
I've seen it 3 times. 4 times, actually. Should I be going up or down?
Follow that thing.
That's a hell of a drop. No, it's a drop though. Huh. Fascinating. Nothing.
He left his body to the medical school and was duly opened out for a crowd of students 21 days after his passing. The report is included in my edition of his book. The syphilis had torn through his guts like a drunk driver, scrambling his organs like eggs on a plate. But enough definition remained for a cursory examination, and, as I suspected, they found clear evidence of kidney
I
stones.
died.
He's likely to have spent the last
I
years of
jumped
his
off a
life in
hill.
considerable pain. Perhaps this is the root of his laudanum habit. Although its use makes him an unreliable
shouldn't kill
witness,
me.
I find myself increasingly drawn into his orbit.
That looks like a upside down cross. Look. Come here. That didn't even look like a cross to begin with.
Yeah, it's like a light post, but that thing go in the cave.
Nah.
I'm starting to kind of wonder what's going on with that. When I played, I didn't have any idea what was going on.
I'm gonna play half and half. I'm gonna play a little more of this, and I'm gonna go play Overwatch.
Overwatch.
Climbing down to
I
the
mean,
caves,
not Overwatch.
I slipped
Overwatch
and
is
fell
ass.
and have injured my leg.
I'm gonna sell that if you're not
I
gonna
think
play
the femur is broken. It is
Go
clearly
for it. Oh,
infected.
there's a sense of light.
The skin has turned a bright, tight pink, and the pain is crashing in on waves, winter tides against my shoreline, drowning out
I'm
the
gonna
ache
also
of my
go play
stones.
Firewatch.
I struggled back to the bothy to rest, but it has become clear that there is only one way this is likely to end.
Oh, here's the candle that I
The
was
medical
holding.
supplies I looted from the trawler have suddenly found their purpose. They
Hello,
will keep me
candle.
lucid for my final ascent.
Whoops. Hiya.
Did Jakobsen crawl this far? Can I identify the scratches his nails ruined into the rocks? Am I following him cell for cell, inch for inch? Why did he turn back on himself and not carry through to the ascent?
Oh. This game's kind of sad if you think of it.
There is no other direction, no other exit from this motorway. Speeding past this junction, I saw you waiting at the roadside, a one last drink in your trembled hands.
Oh. He knows how to swim, guys.
I am traveling through my own body, following the line of infection from the shattered femur towards the heart. I swallow fistfuls of painkillers to stay lucid. In my delirium, I see the twin lights of the moon and the Ariel shining to me through the rocks.
Left or right? Right is always right.
This is a drowned man's face, reflected in the moonlit waters. It can only be a dead shepherd who has come to drunk drive you home.
a dolphin. Etc. Not yet.
Hey, what time am I going to that swimming party today? Oh. Good. Okay.
The moon over the Sanford Junction, headlights in your retinas. Donnelly drove a grey hatchback without a bottom. All the creatures of the tarmac rose to sing to him. All manner of symbols crudely scrawled across the cliff face of my unrest. My life reduced to an electrical diagram. All my gulls have taken flight. They will no longer roost on these outcrops. The lure of the moon over the Sanford Junction is too strong.
Hey, Dad, I see one. Yeah, come here. Tell me when you see him. I'm getting one now. Look at him. Look at him.
That's a fire.
Oh, he wants to kill himself.
Of fire and soil, I chose fire. It seemed the more contemporary of the options, the more sanitary. I could not bear the thought of the reassembly of such a ruin. Stitching arm to shoulder and femur to hip, charting a line of thread like traffic stilled on a
Hey, he's
motorway,
not done yet.
making it all
Hi.
acceptable for tearful aunts and traumatized uncles flown in specially for the occasion. Reduce to
I see
ash,
him being
mix with
washed.
water, make a phosphorescent paint for these rocks and seas.
Who lives in the pineapple under the ocean? SpongeBob SquarePants. Who lives in the pineapple in the sea? Who lives in the pineapple under the sea? He's just chilling there. Dad, he's just chilling there. Yeah.
There were chemical diagrams on the mug he gave me coffee in, sticky at the handle where his hands shook. He worked for a pharmaceutical company with an office based on the outskirts of Wolverhampton. He'd been travelling back from a sales conference in Exeter, forming a strategic vision for the peddling of antacid yogurt to the European market. To trace the connections with your finger, join the dots, and whole new compounds would be summoned into activity.
He's still there.
From here, I can see my armada. I collected all the letters I'd ever meant to send to you, if I'd have ever made it to the mainland, but had instead collected at the bottom of my rucksack, and I spread them out along the lost beach. Then I took each and every one, and I folded them into boats. I folded you into the creases, and then, as the sun was setting, I set the fleet to sail. Shattered into 21 pieces, I consigned you to the Atlantic, and I sat here until I'd watched all of you sink.
Shooting a sight from heaven shone around him, and then interesting. On a sudden light or night, when a sudden light from heaven shone around him, and he fell to the ground. And he's still there! How does one stay for an extreme amount of time? Huh? Cool. Oh, he is gone. Wait, no, he isn't! I still see him! What are you doing over there?
I will drag my leg behind me. I will drag it like a crumpled hatchback, tires blown and sparking across the dimming lights of my vision.
I don't have any legs.
I'm running out of painkillers and am following the flicker of the moon home. When Paul keeled over dead on the road to Damascus, they restarted his heart with the jump leads from a crumpled hatchback. It took 21 attempts to convince it to wake up.
He's still there! Hi. Ah, there's nowhere for you to go now, you fool. He's just chilling there. Huh?
I've begun my voyage in a paper boat without a bottom. I will fly to the moon in it. I've been folded along a crease in time, a weakness in the sheet of life. Now you've settled on the opposite side of the paper to me. I can see your traces in the ink that soaks through the fiber, the pulped vegetation. When we become waterlogged,
And he's
the
gone.
cage disintegrates, we will intermingle. When this paper aeroplane leaves the cliff edge and casts parallel vapor trails in the dark, we will come together.
I can't tell if that's a person over there or not. And he was Price Ding Bone.
I can't read that.
He's Price Ding on its journey. It's okay, wonderful. It's never come. And he
If only Donnelly had experienced this, he would have realized he was his own shoreline, as am I.
Eat.
Just as I am becoming this island, so he became his syphilis, retreating into the burning synapses, the stones, the infection.
Day something.
Sight.
Bent back like a nail, like a hangnail, like a drowning man clung onto the wheel, drunk and spiraled, washed onto the lost shore under a moon as fractured as a shattered wing. We cleave, we are flight and suspended,
not
these
yet.
wretched painkillers,
I
this
think we're about to
forming
beat the
constant.
game.
I will take flight, I will take flight.
They're at the lighthouse thing. Well, I'm at that big radio tower. Yep. And he's back!
You can see the glimpse somehow.
Come back.
Yeah, I guess that's why you pay attention.
I think I have seen everything that I need to see.
Blind with panic, deaf with the roar of the cage traffic, heart stopped on the road to Damascus. Paul sat at the roadside, hunched up like a gull, like a bloody gull. as useless and as doomed as a syphilitic cartographer, a dying goatherd, an infected leg, a kidney stone, blocking the traffic bound for Sanford and Exeter. He was not drunk, Esther. He was not drunk at all. All his roads and his tunnels and his paths led inevitably to this moment of impact. This is not a recorded natural condition. He should not be sat there with his chemicals and his circuit diagrams. He should not be sat there at all.
That's the closest I've ever been to one. Hi. Hey, Dan, come here. That's the closest I've been to one. Hello. Hello, sir. What? And then he turns down to look at me. Look, he looks up.
Look at the left side. Looks like.
Yeah, I know. Look, he's not looking at me. Turn over a little. He's looking at me now. Look.
It still looks like it's got movement on it. Maybe that's just my.
That's not a point. Firewatch.
I am the Ariel. In my passing, I will send news to each and every star.
Wait, hold on. I think wait, don't go anywhere. Ah,
Dear
cutscene.
Esther, I have burnt my belongings, my books, this death certificate. Mine will be written all across this island. Who was Jacobson? Who remembers him? Donnelly has written of him, but who was Donnelly? Who remembers him? I have painted, carved, hewn, scored into this space all that I could draw from him. There will be another to these shores to remember me. I will rise from the ocean like an island without bottom, come together like a stone, become an Ariel, a beacon, that they will not forget you. We have always been drawn here. One day the gulls will return and nest in our bones and our history. I will look to my left and see Esther Donnelly flying beside me. I will look to my right and see Paul
Yes, I'm
Jacobson
right, he killed
flying
himself.
beside me. They will leave white lines
Nobody said
carved into the
something
air
near.
to
I will
reach
see
the
near
mainland,
us to fly
where
by my
help
side
will
or
be
something.
sent.
Is he about to jump? Yeah, he jumped. Whee! Whee! Kinda. Whee! Whee! Can you get out Firewatch? No, boy, we're about to hit grass. Whee! Like a bird or something. You just ate your food. I think. Well, I don't know how to. Oh. is also kind of a horror game. We got stickers. Stickers! Limited run.
Come back.
That's cool. Yeah. Good game. Sad too. Paul. Last trophy earned. Paul.
Hey,
Yeah.
remember that part on Superman where it played the Michael Myers clown and you played comic?
Oh yeah. That was Dear Esther. Great game.